There we go. All right, so everybody, thank you so much for coming. My name is Emma, and I'm the founder of the Young Expressionists. And on behalf of the entire team, I'm super excited to kick off this guest speaker event. But before we get started, I would like to talk a little bit about our organization, the Young Expressionists, or TYE, for those of you who are new and may be unfamiliar with what we do. So the Young Expressionists, or TYE, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to sharing skills and inspiring others. We host a variety of fun classes along with events and guest speakers just like this one. So we actually just finished our classes for 2021 summer. So we're done with classes for this year, but we are looking forward to a very eventful year and fall and winter session. So definitely, if you enjoy events just like this, be sure to sign up for our email list. I believe Jacqueline will be dropping the link in the chat any minute. So you guys can check that out, and we will definitely be sending out more announcements as we start rolling out events. So Jacqueline, as soon as you send that, you can go ahead and introduce our guest speaker for today.
All right, so I've just posted a link in the chat. And so without further ado, we're going to be introducing our speaker for today, Hunter. So Hunter is a rising sophomore at Stanford. He's interested in biology, chemistry, and engineering academically, and he's planning to pursue a career in medicine. Hunter grew up in San Jose and attended Valley Christian from 7th through 12th grade. I know a lot of us here are Valley students. And this webinar will begin with an overview of his experiences preparing for college, the college admissions process, and the transition from high school into college. And then of course, we'll be ending with the Q&A session. Go ahead and drop all your questions throughout in the chat and we'll address them all at the end. So yeah, let's everybody give Hunter a warm welcome, and Hunter, take it away.
All right, can you guys see my screen? So let me check. Okay, cool. Alrighty, so yes, again, hi, my name is Hunter. And I'm just going to be talking today about my journey to college. So I guess this might be a little redundant, I just realized, but so I guess just to say again a few things about me. So yeah, first of all, again, I did grow up in San Jose, California. I've lived here my whole life, just like so maybe you guys had this session. I went to Valley Christian High School for all 4 years. So if you guys were in the International Space Station program or the cross country and track and field teams, possibly when you go to Valley, then you might have heard my name mentioned once or twice, since those are the things I did in high school. And I guess those two programs actually speak a lot to my interests. So I really enjoy tinkering with things, like whether it's like, circuits or like biological experiments. So I guess ISS was just a really good mix of those things. So that's why I ended up sticking with that. Actually, I started way back in 7th grade and I stuck with it through all of high school. So yeah, I guess for cross country, I really enjoy the outdoors. I love going out, hiking, biking, camping, you name it. This picture here is actually a sort of ugly picture of me on a camping trip back in June. So yeah, it's just a little tidbit about me. So that is why I enjoy cross country so much. I originally started in it just to get in shape, but then eventually fell in love with it. So yeah, and I guess as to what I'm doing in college, again, yes, I'm rising sophomore. Stanford, I haven't decided on a major. We typically don't have to declare our major until the end of sophomore year, but what I'm going to be studying, I'm planning on studying either bioengineering or chemistry, and as Jacqueline said, I am tentatively, as of now, planning on going to med school. All right, so I guess before I go on further, I just want to say one thing, which is that, yeah, today I won't really be focusing so much on like things like how to get into Stanford specifically as a college, or like, what Stanford specifically as a college is looking for, which I guess just to, to be completely honest, like one thing is that, first of all, I guess, colleges aren't like one size fits all, honestly. And then second thing is that, during the pandemic and last year, I met a lot of people who were gotten off the wait list, and this, the year was different and everything. And, I didn't see any difference really between those people who got in off the wait list and the people who got in earlier. So I guess it's just my belief that, like there's no, I guess, like rigid checklist or rigid set of statistics that you need to fulfill in order to get into a certain, college of your dreams, or just to get into any college specifically, And so instead of focusing on those things, I'd like to today just provide some tips about like getting through high school, getting ready for the college process and the college admissions process, and just also explore some of my personal experiences in there. And I hope that you guys will find at least one of those tips somewhat helpful. All right, and yeah, at the end, of course, there'll be a session where I'll be available for questions. All right, so I guess just to get started. So during high school, I'm pretty sure that all of you have heard a lot of things about, okay, stay on top of your studies, right? You have to stay on top of your studies, so that sort of stuff. So I will say yes, that's important, but I'll be focusing on like other tips, just because I'm pretty sure you guys have all heard enough of that. So so my tips for high school actually they can be summed up as this: just taking care of yourself. And what I mean by that is actually multiple different things. So I guess the first thing is in terms of learning to take care of yourself, like getting a job is something I could not recommend further or like more strongly than, it's just like getting a job is just, it's so helpful in terms of like, it teaches you things that in school you won't necessarily learn. Like for me, for example, I guess for my personal experiences, during the first 2 summers, I had summer jobs. I did not have a license yet. So what I did was I ended up taking on public transit to work. And, not only during this process that I learned how to, manage myself financially, like keep track of the money the money I for the first time I had for myself to spend, but also, I learned like the public transit network. I learned how to get around the city on my own. That proved to be quite helpful later times. So I'll just say, generally will never hurt to get a job at some point during your high school career. Second thing, I guess, is just to say that a lot of you guys are really busy. A lot of you guys have all sorts of different commitments, things like that. And I understand there's a lot, but I just want to say here that I know this might contradict some people's advice, but it's just take breaks when you need to. Like, if you ever feel overwhelmed at a certain point, this is something I actually didn't learn until later when I was going to college. I realized this is something I should have learned earlier. It's this, that if you ever feel overwhelmed, there's ever, a point where just you have a really packed schedule, it's okay to step back and, take a bit of a break. And, in the end, that will actually help you focus more on what you're committed to. And that's the next tip I have is just most importantly, focus and do what you enjoy. So I guess for me, in high school, I genuinely enjoy doing ISS and cross country. Like those are things I were hard to do. They didn't feel like work. And I understand that not everybody's interest can be encapsulated in these sort of like things, or it's just so easily found. But I just want to say at the very least, find things that that you genuinely do. There's something about them that you genuinely enjoy. Not just because like say like they look good on your college application, or maybe even frankly like your parents push you to do that, right? There's like just find things that you actually care about. And I guess along those lines, recently I was catching up with one of my high school friends, and I actually brought this talk, and he brought up a really good point I just want to share with you guys, which is that he said that okay, it's true that what colleges are looking for, so they do look for how you stand out, but everybody stands out. It doesn't just have, it's not necessarily just like extracurriculars or like sports, whatever. Everybody stands out in a different way. Like everybody's unique, and they're looking for that aspect of yourself. It doesn't just have to be like sports extracurriculars. It could be the grit, like your grit, maybe some part of your personality, or some or different perspectives that you can bring. So all these things are things that are unique to you, that stand out. So it's just, I would suggest just during your high school career, like, look for those things in what you do, and look for, focus on the things you like doing. And as my friend also said, like quality over quantity, right? I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of that a lot. Just like, focus on the few things that you really enjoy, and just, put your efforts into those instead of, spreading yourself out too much. So I guess those are tips I have. Oh, and I guess to say just one last thing to say that if you follow through, like just do what you genuinely enjoy. Like in terms of life, you'll be happy in high school. I did find out. No, I guess I was relatively happier in high school, and I may have been even a bit too carefree about like just this is admissions process and everything. But it's just it's helpful, and also it will also in terms of like college applications, do what you enjoy. It'll help you write like much more genuine applications, heartfelt essays when the time comes. All right, so I guess I have another tip here. So okay, so once let's move on just to like the grind. So like once you're actually getting into this like college admissions process, like there's just there's several tips I have. So I guess the first thing is that things like, for example, like starting in the summer is good, but no matter what, right? Always just like set some time goals for yourself beforehand. Like, during the summer, or like early around now, even I assume like now is when you guys are starting, some of you are starting senior year, that it's a good time to set goals. And so, like how many colleges could you like feasibly apply to? And I guess more importantly than that, Also like set some rewards for yourself. I'll just say that, yeah, during the Thanksgiving break of senior year, I don't remember the time, much of the weekend, which was spent like writing apps. But what I do remember was this instance when I finished my UC apps. I rewarded myself by just bringing myself and several friends out to actually up to Mount Hamilton, which is near up here. I was just playing the snow for a little bit in the morning, and honestly, like that itself just actually spurred me to keep on going and spend the rest of the weekend trying to cry all those apps. I don't know. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have been able to, focus on that so wholeheartedly. So I just say, set some time aside for yourself to take some breaks, especially while you're going through like the hardships, or not, I wouldn't say hardships, but like senior fall is pretty challenging. So, just when you're going through that, just remember to set some time aside, and it will help you along. All right, next tip is, I think you've probably heard this already, but just to reiterate, like don't apply to too many colleges. Like I know, like I think I heard like somebody I know like applied, I think at least 25 or something like that. But like for me, I applied to about, I don't remember the exact number, but probably around 15. I would actually consider that's probably a bit, it's a bit on the high side already, because I spent like, each of those applications, it takes a while to, go through the prompts. And, even if you're reusing essays for different prompts, which I do recommend to a certain extent, it's still, it's still quite a bit, not to mention finances, that's an issue for any of you. Like those fees really do add up. It's just in general, don't apply too many. And the third thing I would say is there's one tip I have for like your essays themselves. I'll just say like, try to include as much of yourself as possible in the essays. And what I mean by that is just like try to spread out as much as like include as much of your personality, who you are in those different essays. I know might sound like common sense, but I would still say like try to put like as many details of yourself, because unfortunately this is the way the college admission process is going to set, where there's just you have to try to express so much of yourself in just like these what they end up reading for just a few minutes. So just try to, write a story about who you are essentially in your essays. And I guess the last thing is just have a healthy amount of confidence. This will just be, I'll just be completely honest. Like early before, in senior fall, I was not one of those people that people expected, to even like get into Stanford. There's like that sort of thing where, they expected a lot of other people were like, they believe it was more qualified. So I mean, personally, I just thought of it as like a breach, but I still believe that, there's still a non-zero chance that I'd be able to get, and I end up getting in. So I would just say that, have a healthy amount of confidence that there's a non-zero chance of applying to schools that that any school that you apply to, just believe in yourself. And that's a good deal. And remember, it's often like, it's both believing in yourself and partially even there's also a little bit of luck there. So, all right. So yeah, so I guess just some final thoughts. So I guess just to remember, throughout the whole process from the start to the finish, you define the college, not the other way around. So, the college of your dreams, aren't able to get into something, something like that, or get into a different college, I would just say, just always remember that, like you will always, I guess, I don't know if this will come across the correct way, but, just try to, just remember that you are more than just like the college that you end up going to. And actually, along these lines, that's why I would suggest, going through and I'm trying or doing like early action applications, because that way you have an idea, like, you can like go through the process, you can go through the run through once, so the second time it's easier around. And also you see perhaps like what are some of the things that you could possibly work on your essays in future once you get your results back. But I'll just say, in the end, there could be those few things that you could have improved on here or there. But in the end, it's ultimately a lot more about actually like, how the college like decides things inside that you don't really see, not you. So just to have that, internal confidence throughout this process. I guess the last thing I'll just say is, good luck. So, you guys are, I know this is challenging. I've been there, and, just believe in yourself. You will eventually get somewhere. All right. So, all right. And I guess that was pretty much it. So, I meant for this part to not be too long. So the rest is just pretty much the questions. But yeah, I guess, now I guess I'll be open for questions.